Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 12 of the Unspoken Rules podcast. I am your host, Sebastian, aka Rabbit, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Montana, aka Wildcard. Good morning, brother. How you doing?
Good morning on this fine Friday morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And of course, Mr. Blake Spillers. How are you today, brother?
Couldn't be better. It's a beautiful morning out there today.
Yes, sir. We got some interesting news to cover, as well as obviously breaking down these games from last night and previewing the two games tonight. Now to start, I don't know if you guys heard, but Mr. Coby White did in fact have shoulder surgery with an expected holdout of 4+ months. An injury he sustained during basketball activities last weekend, with him expected to come back right around regular season. Will Coby have a slow start? And a follow-up question: do you guys think this injury affects his play style or affects Coby in any way, shape, or form? Montana, Blake, whoever wants to go first.
I can start here. I would say that any shoulder injury is going to be a risk to affect his play for the rest. But he's so young that, and this is his first serious injury, I don't think it's going to have any serious. I don't think it's going to affect him too much. But the Bulls are actively shopping for a point guard. They're looking at Europe MVP Vasilija Micic. Hopefully I got that right. And also, I threw up in my mouth when I saw this a couple days ago. They're looking at trading for Kemba Walker. Oh, bro. I'm praying that does not happen. I'm hoping the Bulls front office is not dumb enough to do that. But hey, I'm seeing a lot of rumors out there, and I'm hoping it just doesn't happen.
Montana.
Yeah, as far as the Chicago Bulls go, I don't really. Coby White, he's a solid player for them at point guard, but I don't know how much it's gonna. He has 4 months of recovery time, so it's not gonna be a huge impact. He'll probably be ready by the time the training camp rolls around and ready to go for the regular season. So I don't have any concerns at all about Coby White and his status for the regular season. I'm more concerned about how the Bulls are gonna look to upgrade their roster going into next season and for the potential push to be a playoff team, because I know Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic are all-star caliber players, and they're looking to make the playoffs in this season. So let's see how that rolls for them.
I mean, you both took the words out of my mouth, but one thing to note for Mr. Blake being a Bulls fan, I don't know if you saw this. One of my friends did send me this because they are diehard Bulls. I saw on TikTok, Mr. Coby White has joined the wave of Lonnie Walker and, of course, De'Aaron Fox and cut all of his hair off. So now, not only is he looking like somewhat De'Aaron Fox, but it is, a little bit curly. Any thoughts on that?
No, I did see that. He was at North Carolina, I believe, hooping with a lot of the college kids, and I saw the fresh cut, and I like it.
Okay.
I never had a problem with his long hair. I'm not one of those people, but I do dig the new cut for sure.
Okay, cool. All right. Now, as we move on, NBA has finally announced their schedule for next season. Training camp will start September 28th. The regular season will start October 19th. Playoffs to start around April 16th. Finals game 1, June 2nd. Finals game 7, if it does go that far, June 19th. And, of course, the NBA draft 4 days after that, June 23rd. Now, I couldn't be happier to see us go back to the original schedule. Now, does this yet again cause injuries because of fatigue to teams that make it that far to the finals, as we saw this year with the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers? Or do you expect everything and everybody to be in full form come training camp?
I'll start here. I don't think it's going to be that big because they're going to have more months off in between than they did from last season to the next. So I don't think the fatigue issue is going to be present. It's good to see that the schedule is getting back to normal, as the schedule is a little bit more spread out now. I don't think injuries will be as prevalent as they were this season, considering this season everyone was playing a lot of back-to-backs. Some were even playing like 4 or 5 games in 7 days during the week. With the spread out schedule and starting it earlier on October 19th, that limits that. And plus we get the season done earlier, on schedule earlier in June. And then we'll be on time for the NBA draft starting next season. I don't know if they announced when the NBA draft is going to be for this season, but it's good to see that the schedule is getting back to normal.
No, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's good that they're finally getting the schedule back, and I figured it would only be about a season before they did get the season back on track, because that's the prime time. They don't want to take time because football takes a lot of viewers, and they definitely that's the biggest thing that I saw. The NBA owners do not want to interrupt that football season because that's just going to take away even more viewers from the NBA. And the NBA has been losing viewers by the boatloads. I mean, their viewership has been going down constantly for the last 5 years, and this is just something to try and get back on pace of gaining viewership. But yeah, Montana hit it right on the nose.
No, absolutely.
Especially this season with the viewership issue is that people are looking to watch marquee players like LeBron, Steph Curry, and unfortunately, right now there's none of that. We're having the 8 teams that are left are very relatively new squads. The only team that has notable players are pretty much the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So and plus the two best games to watch are like the Western Conference, and they're playing at late games, like 10:30 games, and no one wants to stay up that late to watch those playoff games.
No, of course. I mean, like you guys mentioned, it's good to see that the schedule is going back. For me, I was not expecting, like, if the finals does get to Game 7, 4 days after the NBA draft would be going on. But I mean, at the end of the day, next year should be interesting, and to say the least, I'm just glad that we're back. Montana, take it away from here.
All right, so we had 2 games yesterday in the National Basketball Association. We had the Milwaukee Bucks winning 89 to Brooklyn's 83 points. I was on the edge of my seat the whole entire game watching this. As far as the Brooklyn Nets go, I think they played about 8 people in the rotation. So we had Kevin Durant, who had 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists, who started off really slow in the first half, shooting 2 for 10, but eventually caught up and got to 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists to finish off the game. Kyrie Irving had a pretty small game for his measures. I expect to see that number go up as we continue the series. He had 22 points, 1 assist, and 5 rebounds. And Bruce Brown Jr., boy, oh boy, we have a lot to talk about this guy today. He had 16 points, 11 rebounds, but don't get it wrong, people. He had 16 points off floaters, and he cost the Brooklyn Nets in the final 2 possessions of that game for them. So we'll get into that for sure. As far as the Milwaukee Bucks go, again, this is a very low-scoring game. So Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo combined for at least 80% of the team's scoring. Giannis had 33 points, 2 assists, and 14 rebounds, and Chris Middleton had 35 points, 1 assist, and 15 rebounds. So the question to the panel is, what do you guys think about the Milwaukee Bucks coming out of this game 3 with the 3-point victory? And do we see Brooklyn having another low-scoring game like this again?
Blake, you can go first.
Yeah, I'll start. Well, first off, I want to say that this is exactly kind of what me and Sebastian talked about yesterday of what the Bucks need to do to win a game. Defense, and they need their stars to step up, and their stars stepped up in the biggest way. Chris Middleton having 35 and 15 did he even combine for 35 points between the first 2 games? It's going to be really close. He about outscored himself there. Giannis had a good game with 33 and 14. Sadly, he still can't shoot free throws. He got called for a 10-second violation, which is still beyond me that is an issue for him, that it takes, I think they had the timer out. It took him 13 seconds, and he still didn't shoot the free throw. He's got to change that. But one of the announcers said last night that if they're going to enforce this, they needed to enforce this in the regular season, and I couldn't agree more, because Giannis needs time to readjust his free throw shooting form, because if you're just now calling it, it's a little late in the season for Giannis to be changing up his free throw form, no matter how bad it's been. But I mean, like you said about Bruce Brown, yes, he did cost them at the end of the game, but Bruce Brown was keeping them in the game for the most part. I mean, when Kevin Durant was struggling, he was getting buckets. He kept the game within striking distance. But then at the end of the game, like you said, why is he even shooting the ball? You have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, lethal shooters. They can score at any point on the floor. And Bruce Brown and Joe Harris are your 2 guys shooting at the end of the game. It's a joke to me. It honestly is. I don't understand how maybe off a rebound and a shot, but it wasn't even like that. I mean, Kevin Durant needs to call for the ball, and that's how it needs to end, with him shooting.
No, absolutely. Everything you said was spot on. Like we said last podcast, the Bucks needed to focus on one thing, and that was defense and getting stops. And luckily, I should say, that's what ended up happening. You know what I'm saying? They played defense, got important stops. Now the lucky part is this man Joe Harris went freaking God knows what now. He went 1 for 11 and 1 for 7 from 3. This man down the stretch in a key moment of the game hesitated on that midi when he was wide open. I don't know why you hesitate there when you're a shooter like Joe Harris. I get you have an off night, but when you're right there on a little free throw damn near shot, just pull it and hit it. This man got scared because it was such a clutch moment or whatever the case may be, and he folded the bag. Not only him, but obviously Bruce Brown, as we saw him trying to play hero ball for the last 2 possessions with his ugly floater that should have been a Kevin Durant shot, and then his little layup trying to score on Brook Lopez. I don't know what he was thinking. Yes, he got the 16 and whatnot and tried, was doing his thing. But down that stretch, that ball needs to be, like you said, in Kevin Durant or Kyrie's hands. But to credit the Milwaukee Bucks, they did have great performances from Chris Middleton, who finally stepped up and showed us the real Chris Middleton that we've been all expecting. Giannis also did his thing. Like you said, the free throws, though. I don't know what's up with this kid. It crap just does not make sense in my head, but that's beside the point. I think ultimately, even though they both had big nights and like their supporting cast didn't really do too much compared to I don't even know. The Brooklyn Nets supporting cast didn't even do much either. Like the Brooklyn Nets bench outscored the Bucks bench by 1, and then the starters outscored them technically in the sense of like the other 3, you know what I'm saying, besides KD and Kyrie. The other 3 outscored the other 3 of the Milwaukee Bucks, except Giannis. I don't know, bro. The fact that Giannis and Chris Middleton had such great games is what obviously put them boys over the jump. But listen, at the end of the day, bro, down the stretch, Bruce Brown needs to drop that damn ball, give it to freaking Kevin Durant. I don't care if you're getting double teamed, figure out a way for this man to just score at will, because I don't know, man. That should just not happen. I don't like how, Kevin Durant did not have the ball in his hands for the last, 10, 15 seconds. And then Kyrie to just dish it to Joe Harris, miss, or dish it to Bruce Brown, and he misses the floater. I just didn't like how that was drawn up and how that ended up going through. Montana?
So, yeah, as far as the Brooklyn Nets go, Kevin Durant was just scoring the basketball at will, and especially in the final 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
As there was a couple key moments in the final minute and a half of this game. They were up to 83 to 80 points, and Bruce Brown, I think they passed it to Brown, and he shot that. There was like a floater. I think it was under a minute to go. There was still like a good 10 seconds on that shot clock.
Yeah.
If you see Brook Lopez on you, and you don't have that clear lane for that floater, why in the world are you even going to shoot that shot? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Pass the ball out, reset. You still have a ton of time left on that shot clock. Instead, you shoot the floater, and you give Milwaukee more time to drive that basketball down the court and get an easy spin around bucket from Drew Holiday to put him up 84-83. It doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving did not have that basketball in their hands for the final couple possessions of the basketball game. Those are your 2 all-star players. One hit one of the most clutch shots in NBA history. Kyrie Irving over Steph Curry to put the Cavaliers up ahead of the Golden State Warriors in that 2017 NBA Finals. The other is an MVP, a 2-time NBA Finals MVP who can hit shot after shot at any moment in any given time. So Kevin Durant should have been the guy, or Kyrie Irving should have been the guy to shoot that final shot, especially when Bruce Brown got that basketball in their final possession practically of the game, where he drives to the basket and he doesn't even. I don't even think did he hit the rim?
I don't think so.
Because the shot was just not executed poorly. They had a ton of time on that shot clock to make sure they would get a decent looking shot in the hands of Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving. I would even rather have Joe Harris shoot that shot than Bruce Brown, because I know Bruce Brown can't shoot. So it doesn't make any sense at all how Brooklyn executed that final 2 possessions of the game. So it was just disappointing to see, especially because the Brooklyn Nets were the better team yesterday, in my opinion, because they just missed a ton of shots in that first quarter. If the first quarter went any differently for them, they would have won that game by 20 plus. Let's be honest here. No, I don't think Milwaukee has any shot in Game 4 or Game 5. I think Brooklyn's going to win the series 4-1. If this was Brooklyn's low point, then Milwaukee should be really scared as they move forward. Again, Milwaukee, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton each had 30-plus points. We knew that was going to have to be the case for them if they were going to win this game for the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 3. But as we saw, yes, they did do it, but the supporting cast did not show up. And that's going to be a problem as we move forward because 86 points is not going to beat the Brooklyn Nets every game. So it's just an interesting game to watch. And I do think Brooklyn is the better team. They're probably going to win the NBA Finals this season. Actually, you know what? I'll take that. I think there might be a team that might have a chance against them. Well, I'm sure we'll get to that a little bit later. But as far as that goes, Milwaukee did not play well. Neither did Brooklyn, but Brooklyn was definitely looked like the better team in that second half. And even in the second quarter, and they probably should have won that game.
No, yeah, going off of you saying it doesn't make sense, like why Bruce Brown, the only thing I can think of why he has the ball and why he's shooting with so much time left is he didn't realize how much time was left. I mean, I just don't think he knew how much time was left if he's forcing up a shot like that, unless he's just dumb. And I don't think he's dumb. That's probably wrong of me to say. But when you, like you said, you have Kevin Durant on your team, Bruce Brown knows this. Why is Bruce Brown even thinking shoot the ball at that point? If I'm Bruce Brown, I'm thinking, where's Kevin Durant? Where's Kyrie Irving? Win the game for us. Because that's why you're there. Those are the superstars. Nobody says that the Nets are winning the championship because of Bruce Brown. I haven't heard that yet. I'm sure you guys haven't heard that. They're winning the finals because Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are superstars. You win the finals with superstars. You don't win the finals with Bruce Brown taking one of your last second shots when you're losing. And then that Drew Holiday spin, that got me. I mean, I was out of my couch when I saw that. He put him on the spin cycle, easy lay-in. I mean, that's just it's Drew Holiday didn't have a great game, but hey, you hit that clutch bucket, that makes up for having kind of a so-so game.
At the end of the day, it just comes down to, at least in that unit that was in the end of the game for both teams, it comes down to experience. Yes, Giannis and Middleton have both lost horribly in the freaking playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But they've made pushes. You know what I'm saying? They made runs. Shout out Kawhi for stopping it. And then obviously shout out Miami for stopping it too. But they still have that experience. Drew Holiday obviously has a little bit of experience as well as obviously, you know, being a phenomenal defender in what he is. PJ Tucker has that experience. Again, obviously he didn't shoot the ball well, but defensively he played great defense. You know what I'm saying? To lock up KD down the stretch in the sense of the last 20 seconds or so. And then now with the Nets, Bruce Brown doesn't got that joint. You know what I mean? Down the stretch, he don't know. He's not looking at the clock. He's probably scared out of his mind that he's got the ball in his hands. He's like, okay, here we go. You know, I've been doing floaters all game. Let me just try and get, you know what I'm saying? Then he misses it. He's like, oh God. Then he comes to get the ball again, and he's like, okay, here we go. Hero ball, let me make up for it. And then sells the bag. So it's like he probably got mad nervous, didn't know what the hell to do. They should have just, I don't know. Like I said, like everybody has said, that ball should just not have been in his hands. I agree with Montana. That shot should have either gone Joe Harris's way if KD and Kyrie couldn't get it, and that's the only other person I would have trusted in that situation. But honestly, there's not much else to really say about this series. I think, like you said, Montana, this is probably one of the worst we'll ever see from the Brooklyn Nets this entire rest of the year. And I think, you know, this maybe goes 6, but I could totally just see this be 5 and call it a night.
One other thing I want to talk about before we move on to the next game. Can we talk about how much of a finesser Blake Griffin is, bro? The guy he played such a good defense yesterday that like he's playing so solid right now for the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know how he convinced the Detroit Pistons that he was a bad player, that they released him, but the Brooklyn Nets, that he's a key player for them right now, and defensively and even offensively, hitting a couple 3-pointers a game, and even setting up the offense. Even though he's playing as a small center at the moment, he's still putting up great minutes, and he's still putting up enough effort on defense for him to put an impact on the game.
I don't think Detroit thought he was a bad player ever. I think they knew, but they had no choice but to get rid of him, because he was basically saying, I'm going to walk up and down the court if I'm still playing with y'all. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to dunk the basketball. Am I diving on the ground for loose balls? No. I mean, I don't blame him. He was in Detroit. There's nothing going on over there. Of course he wants a buyout. Do you think he wants to end the last 3 or 4 years he's got of being a solid basketball player in Detroit? No, that's where careers go to die. I don't blame him. I mean, Detroit just saw the writing on the wall. They're like, all right, we might as well buy this guy out. He's not going to help our team at all. He obviously doesn't want to be here. I don't think Detroit ever really thought that he was a bad basketball player.
Sebastian?
No, I mean, bro, Blake Griffin is Blake Griffin. Like you said, the biggest finesser in the entire NBA. I don't know what else to really mention, bro. Like he's been playing great. And that's pretty much that.
All right. So as we move on from the Milwaukee Bucks winning 86 to Brooklyn Nets 83, we now move on to the next game on last night's docket. The Utah Jazz winning 117 to the Los Angeles Clippers 111. Going out of the first half into the second half, the Clippers were being blown out by the Utah Jazz, but I got to give them a ton of praise for them fighting back and making this a close game in the end. So let's take a look at this box score for the Los Angeles Clippers. We had a great. The Clippers just wasted a great game by Reggie Jackson, because if they had any other support from any of the other players, not named Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they would have won that game. So we had Reggie Jackson, who had 29 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds. And boy, oh boy, I'm sure he's proving Sebastian wrong. Paul George had 27 points, 6 assists, and 10 rebounds. No pandemic P there. He was played like playoff P yesterday. Kawhi Leonard, he played like pandemic Kawhi Leonard yesterday. 21 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. As far as the rest of the Los Angeles Clippers players go, not one other player hit double digits for the squad. As far as the Utah Jazz go, I don't know who told me that the Utah Jazz wasn't an offensive juggernaut, but yes, they are an offensive juggernaut. Can we officially say that now? Donovan Mitchell had 37 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. This guy is playing on another level right now. This is his coming out party. And Jordan Clarkson, I don't know what happened in the past 2 years, but this guy's become a prolific scorer for the Utah Jazz at 24 points, 2 assists, and 1 rebound in 27 minutes of gameplay. Joe Ingles had 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, had 13 points, 20 rebounds. And Bojan Bogdanovic had 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. So the question to the panel is, are the Utah Jazz too good on offense for the Los Angeles Clippers to play any great defense and score the basketball at the same time? And do we think that Los Angeles is going to somehow win the next 2 games at home in LA?
Well, to start, I'd say that the Jazz are proving me wrong. I wasn't a hater per se, but I wasn't a believer. I thought that they were fakers. I thought they were just another number one, another decent regular season team. They'll have success. They're good enough to get out of the first round, maybe the second round. But they're surprising me, and they've shut me up. They're a legit team, and I think I've been saying the Suns Nets finals, but the Jazz are going to give the Suns everything they want. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is just playing like he's a top 5 player in the league right now, and I don't even think that's a hot take anymore. I mean, he had 45 in game 1, and he has 37 in game 2. He's just doing his thing. He's getting buckets. But like you said that the Clippers wasted a Reggie Jackson game. They did. But I think the role players did enough. I mean, you've got they didn't get double digits, but you've got 8 from Marcus Morris, 7 from Zubac, 7 from Batum. You have 29 from Reggie, 6 from Marcus Cousins. Not huge numbers, but when Paul George is 27, Kawhi Leonard needs to step up. That's why he's there. Kawhi Leonard, when he won that ring with the Raptors, people were saying that he's the best player in the league. Nah, the best player in the league's not scoring 21 points when your team needs you. That's my opinion. Kawhi Leonard, not only did he not stop, if you're not going to guard Donovan Mitchell and try and put a stop to him, you need to be prolific on the offensive end, and he just wasn't. He didn't show up last night, and Kawhi Leonard, and I think the Jazz win this series. The Jazz are not the Mavericks. The Mavericks are an inexperienced team, and that's why they blew that 2-0 lead. I think the Mavs were the better team. I truly do. The Mavs were playing better, and then I think the inexperience killed them, and I think that's where the Jazz aren't inexperienced. They've been there before. They haven't gone on playoff runs, but they've been in the playoffs. They've known what it feels like to lose, and I think the Clippers are going home, and that lineup could get blown up this offseason.
Now, like I said last pod, I told you Luke Kennard and Marcus Morris were going to have to be consistent like they were in that Mavericks series, right? Now, I'll give you Reggie Jackson. I'm not saying he proved me wrong because he's inconsistent, as we've seen, because where was this in game 1? But PG and Reggie Jackson both performed great. That entire team did show fight. But honestly, what really killed them down the stretch was in the last 5 minutes, Ty Lue took Reggie Jackson out. I don't know what he thought about doing, maybe because Reggie had so many minutes, but he took Reggie Jackson out, put Patrick Beverley in, and when it was a 4 to 6 point game, not only did Patrick Beverley miss a 3, which he's, that's not his body, but then he drove into the paint and thought this paint was sweet with Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert there, and he somehow, someway took this ugly freaking spin hook or something and thought that was a great shot to take. So he misses it, and after he misses it, he's like, damn, Like he got mad that he missed a shot over defensive player of the year, Mr. Rudy Gobert. So that's what killed them, because after that, it had already gotten to like a 10, 12-point game, and then Ty Lue with like 2.5 or 2 minutes left puts Reggie Jackson back in the game. And bro, you're 2 minutes left, you're down by 10. Brother, you folded. You should have just never took Reggie Jackson out to begin with. I don't care if that man is tired. If he's having a game like that, let him finish strong. Because clearly you're not getting minutes. You're not getting points from Luke Kennard, who came in and had like 18 last game. You're not getting minutes. You're not getting points like from Marcus Morris, who had like double digits last game or whatever the hell in the Mavericks series. You're not getting that production. The only production you're getting from is freaking Reggie Jackson and PG, who down the stretch, PG hit a crucial big three, but clearly it wasn't enough for them to win. But also, like I mentioned, this was the most important game. This and game one were the two important games of this series if the Clippers wanted to win. Why? Because the fact of the matter is the Utah Jazz are still winning these games without their playmaker in Mike Conley. That hamstring injury is clearly holding him out, but the fact that they have won without him is huge for this team to give them that momentum to move on down the stretch as they get to that Western Conference Finals, because honestly, they will if Conley comes back. You know what I'm saying? I think this series is pretty much over. I'll say the Clippers maybe get 1 or 2, but the Jazz either win in 5 or 6, and I think this is over. But now to credit the Jazz, not only did they get stops and played great defense, they also are, like Montana said, an offensive juggernaut. If they get that consistency from their role players, because obviously you're going to get those buckets from Donovan Mitchell. Jordan Clarkson this series has averaged 24, because I think last game he had 24 as well, right? I'm not too sure. So the fact that you're getting 6th man of the year, Jordan Clarkson, 24 a game. Joe Ingles came out of nowhere and showed us, you know what I'm saying? He can be a freaking daddy. You know what I mean? He daddied everybody. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, that man is a freaking old head. You know what I'm saying? But he's also a dad. You know what I mean? So, like, hey, for him to drop 19 last night was crucial for that squad to get that type of contribution from him with Mike Conley out. Bojan did what always needed to be done. He could have low-key had more, but he tweaked his ankle in the second quarter, so I respect that. Donovan Mitchell could also have had more, but he got Charlie Horse, I think, like 3 or 4 minutes towards the end of the game. So he just I was cramping. But he did what he needed to win. You know what I'm saying? Royce O'Neal, 8 points. You got your contribution from everybody. And obviously, defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert, with the 20 rebounds, 13 points. I mean, bro, if they keep this consistency going, this team is going to battle against the Phoenix Suns. Because right now, these are the only 2 teams that I'm seeing straight consistency from. Consistency is key. Obviously, defense wins championships. But, bro, if they're this powerful on offense and they keep hitting shots and they have productive games from everybody like they have been this entire postseason, man, this is going to be a beautiful Western Conference Finals, Sun Jazz. I think that might just go to 7.
To give you a quick explanation, I think the reason they take Reggie out of the game and put Patrick Beverly in is for his defense. I figure Ty Lue's thinking Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, it's the last 2 minutes. Those 2 are the only ones that are going to be touching the ball. So therefore, you don't need Reggie Jackson on the floor. Even if he had a great game, you got to put, like we've talked about in the Bucks game in the Nets, you got to give the ball to the superstars. That's how you win games. And it just didn't work out for them. I don't know why Patrick Beverly is shooting the ball. I mean, it's almost a Bruce Brown moment. I mean, why is he shooting the ball instead of Paul George, who's having a good game? And even with Kawhi Leonard not having a good game, I trust him to knock down a shot way before I'm trusting anyone else on that roster. Nonetheless, the Patrick Beverly, who can't shoot, has an ugly floater, but he plays good defense, and that's why he was in the game. But he didn't play his role. That's how I'm seeing it. He went in there, he tried to make a big time shot, and it just didn't fall for him.
I don't know, man, because Reggie does have great defense. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's a poor defender. But I think it was just more so fatigue when it came down to it. The man played 36 minutes. So he, at that point when he got taken out with 5 minutes left, he was probably at 34 minutes because he played the last 2 minutes. So he was at 34 minutes, and maybe he's just not used to playing that much time. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, with Reggie shooting the way he was shooting, Paul George, leading up to those 5 minutes, had missed like 3 straight threes. I get it. You have to trust him at the end of the day. But with Kawhi missing threes and shots, with PG missing shots, and the only person that could get you a bucket in crucial and crunch time has to be Reggie Jackson. Ain't nobody else doing it. Ain't nobody else doing it. I get it. That's your superstars in Kawhi and PG, but Kawhi didn't play Kawhi ball last night, and PG was, whatever, up until like the back end of that game. 2 minutes in, once Reggie came back in, PG wants to start making shots. All of a sudden, PG wants to come alive with 2 minutes when this game's practically over. No, that you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to get nothing from your two superstars or all-stars, whatever the hell you want to call them, Reggie has to stay in that game, play those 5 minutes and say, F it, bro. Even if I finish tired, I'm leaving everything on this damn court, and I'm calling it a night. If we lose, we lose. If we win, look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. As far as the Los Angeles Clippers go, I think I did say that they would win the series in 7 games, but I think I was wrong on that. I think the Utah Jazz they're just too good. At this point, offensively, they're getting contributions from everybody, not just Donovan Mitchell or Jordan Clarkson, but Joe Ingles is playing really well. Bojan Bogdanovic is playing really well. Rudy Gobert is playing phenomenally on defense, and he's just rebounding the ball at a prolific rate. 20 rebounds like yesterday's game. He doesn't have to drop 20-plus points because that's not his game, but he's blocking shots. He's getting rebounds. He's doing what he has to do for the Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell is turning into a superstar before our very eyes. The guy is he dropped, 45 in game 1. He dropped 30-plus in game 2, 30-plus in game 3. He's playing at such a high level right now. We saw that maybe he had tweaked his ankle a little bit, but that didn't seem to affect him at all. Quinn Snyder, he's such a good coach for the youth. This was the perfect situation for him to coach. He's a good offensive and defensive coach, and he's in my opinion, he should have been one of the guys to win Coach of the Year this year. He takes his team to the number 1 seed. Last year in the bubble, they got bounced in the first round by the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. So the fact that they have improved this much is great to see especially for the fan base of the Utah Jazz, because they're looking to get to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1998, where they lost to Michael Jordan. And I think they might have a chance to do it. I think honestly, Sebastian, I think they're better than the Phoenix Suns. I think they have more offensive pieces around Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and as you mentioned, Mike Conley hasn't even stepped on the court in the second round yet. As far as the Clippers go, Kawhi Leonard needs to show up more than he has done in the past 2 games, because 21 points, that is definitely not going to get it done. And you're supposed to be the A player, and everyone's comparing you to Michael Jordan this, Michael Jordan that. But you cannot, if you cannot win games if you're scoring 21 points and your best player is Reggie Jackson. Because honestly, Paul George was the best player yesterday, but Reggie Jackson had more points. But Kawhi Leonard has to in Game 3 has to score 30-plus points, as well as Paul George and Reggie Jackson and the rest of the Clippers pieces in order to win Game 3. Because if they don't, the Utah Jazz are about to send the Los Angeles Clippers packing home early, and it's going to be a really interesting offseason for the Clippers if they can't get it done here in round 2. I think in order for it to be a successful season, they need to get it to the Western Conference Finals. If they don't get it to Western Conference Finals, I could totally see Kawhi Leonard maybe thinking about his options going forward, and maybe the Clippers are going to look to see what kind of other pieces can they put around Paul George and to continue this, because obviously Paul George is on that contract extension and Kawhi Leonard isn't. So it's just going to be an interesting Game 3 and for the rest of the series.
No, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I don't even think it's Western Conference Finals. I think if they don't make the finals, we could see Kawhi leaving, because I feel like this is a championship or bust kind of team. That was the expectations when they brought in Kawhi Leonard, when they brought in Paul George. They traded away their entire future for this. You don't trade away your entire future for a Western Conference Finals matchup. No, you trade that away to get a ring. You do, like, that's what Toronto did. Toronto traded away the future to win that ring in 2019. Another sport, but the Cubs did it in 2016. If you win the ring, it makes up for trading away the future, in my opinion, because that's what you're trading for. You're trading for immediate success. And if you don't get that, you just lost, 6 first-rounders, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Gallen. You threw away everything for these 2 guys, and they're not showing up. It's easy as that. Kawhi Leonard got put on this team because they thought he could carry them with another superstar, and he's just not playing his part right now.
Yeah.
Sebastian.
No, I got nothing else to say. I completely agree with everything you guys have said already. I don't know, man. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Let me say one thing, Mr. Montana. I just remembered you freaking said the thing about Mr. Quinn Snyder. No, I disagree with you. I think Monty, like I said in last episode, should have won Coach of the Year. They went undefeated 8-0 in the bubble, still didn't make the playoffs, because Mr. Dame Dollar was outperforming him. Devin Booker was my MVP. You know what I mean? And then for them to finish the second seed in the Western Conference, you know, that's huge. You know what I mean? Shout out James Jones. Shout out shout out James Jones, my guy. You know what I mean? Shout James Jones out. And shout out beautiful Monty Williams. His story is amazing to come back from all of that bull crap he had to deal with. And then obviously to come coach this roster. Yes, the addition of CP3 was huge, but for them to finish in the second seed, shout out CP3, shout out D-Book and all of them. I think they make it to the finals. I don't care if this damn Utah Jazz team is nice, whatever the case may be, boom. I still think the Suns do it, and I still think, I don't know why Tibbs won it, but sure, whatever. You know what I mean? I think Monty should have won it. And that's my case. I'm gonna plead for Monty every single day.
But you're forgetting who was the number 1 seed, the Utah Jazz, right?
Yeah, and you're forgetting the Utah Jazz also made the playoffs last year. They were what, a 4th or 5th seed?
And what? They were the 6th seed last year.
Okay, the 6th seed, and the Suns didn't make the playoffs last year, and they finished the 2nd seed, and went undefeated in the bubble.
And
whatever you say, sir.
Let's not act like it was only the Suns were 1 game back from the Jazz. It's not like the Jazz had a defining lead from 1st to 2nd. They had a 1-game lead. Yes, they are still technically the 1 seed, but it was 1 game.
Come on now. Know what I mean? Thank you, Blake.
All right. As far as that goes, we are now going to move on to one of our segments in today's show where I remind you guys, if you haven't followed on the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, please drop the follow, leave a rating and review. And if you guys are listening on the video side, if you guys are watching us live on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, tell us how we can improve the show. And as far as that goes, Sebastian, we have 2 games tonight. Blake, we have 2 games tonight. We have the Philadelphia 76ers now in Atlanta, tied 1 game apiece. Then we also have the Phoenix Suns, Game 3 against the Denver Nuggets. The Phoenix Suns are up 2-0. They're now going to the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado. So, with the first game we're going to talk about now is the Philadelphia 76ers and the Atlanta Hawks. And my question to you guys is, if the Hawks can't prevent Joel Embiid from scoring 30-plus points, can we see the Atlanta Hawks winning this game?
Let me. Oh, go ahead. You want to go?
No, go ahead. If you want to start, go for it.
All right, listen. Here's what I'm thinking, right? First of all, if Trae Young starts out slow, John Collins and Mr. Bogdan Bogdanovic are going to have to step up and lock in, because we didn't see that performance from John Collins like we did, you know what I'm saying, with that 20 points in game 1. Now, Bogdan has obviously been doing his thing. The man is a sniper. The man is cold-blooded. You know what I mean? The man is just in his Duffy right now. So if the 76ers find a way to slow down Trae Young, it comes down to that supporting cast. It comes down to everybody stepping up, because, yes, Kevin Huerter balled out. Yes, Danilo Gallinari balled out. Yes, Bogdan balled out. But Bogdan needs more points. He can't have 21 and expect, if Trae Young is going to play slow, he has to have more points than that. You know what I mean? He has to have at least 28 to 30 if Trae is playing so slow and coming out so slow. You know what I mean? But if Trae Young comes out hot, listen, it's a whole different ballgame. We're going to see a game 1 performance if Trae Young comes out hot. Now, to answer your question, I thought, you know what I mean, in order for them to win the ballgame, be smart, limit their turnovers. You know what I'm saying? I think we see a completely different result. Letting their freaking players that have key impacts on this game play big minutes, and preventing the 76ers from getting big minutes from Shake Milton. You know what I mean? Slowing down Joel Embiid. I said it. If they can keep Embiid under 35, I think that's a win in the Hawks book, and I think they win, and you know what I mean, moving forward. But for the 76ers to win tonight, they got to come out with the same intensity they had off the muscle defensively. Don't worry about offense. That'll come, run through Joel if you really want to. Tobias will do his thing, get their shooters open and do what they need to do. But as long as they slow the Hawks down, at least Trae Young, and prevent from him or any other shooters to get hot, I think we see a dub from the 76ers and potentially winning in 6. But as of right now, if they can slow down Joel Embiid and Trae Young stays hot and not have a bad game like he did, I think the Hawks can win this in 6 or 7.
I think, to answer your question, I think the Hawks can definitely win even if Joel Embiid has 30-plus points. They did it in game 1. They have so much offensive firepower. Joel Embiid scoring 35 points in the post isn't going to hurt them if Trae Young's going to drop 35 points more efficiently from the three-point line. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that they're going to win. I think the Sixers are still by far the better team because they can bring that defensive intensity. The Hawks scoring 102 in their last game, I mean, that just shows that. If you can slow down Trae Young and make someone else on that team beat you, you're doing everything right. And I think that's what the Sixers just need to continue to look at for the rest of the series. You can't stop Trae Young. I mean, Trae Young is a great player. He's going to get buckets. But if you can slow him down to get about 25 points or less, I think it's a Sixers win. The only way the Hawks win is if Trae Young has 30-plus points. That's the only way I see it happening. Because I don't view the Hawks as having a clear number 2 player. I think they have 2 or 3 players that could fill that role. John Collins, Bogdanovich. You could even make the argument Gallinari's right there in terms of getting buckets as their number 2, but like they don't have a clear number 2. So if Trae Young isn't doing what he's doing, if he's not scoring 30-plus points, I just don't see the Hawks winning the game.
Okay, so as far as the Philadelphia 76ers go, if Joel Embiid scores like 40 points, somewhere around that range, I think Philadelphia is going to win because I think obviously Tobias Harris is playing really, really well right now for the Philadelphia 76ers. He's getting around 25 points in this series. Seth Curry is actually playing really well, all things considering. He's averaging around 20 points in this series. I think the key for the Philadelphia 76ers in this Game 3, just because only I think the Atlanta Hawks are going to win this game tonight, is Ben Simmons. If he can score around 15 points to 20 points, then yes, I think it's going to be a close game. But if he scores around 15 to 20, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to win. And another issue that the Atlanta Hawks have to figure out is making sure that Trae Young gets off to a hot start in the first quarter. Because if he starts out slow, then the Sixers are going to win this game easily. Because they need Trae Young is the guy that makes the gas go for the Hawks. If he's dropping the dimes and if he's scoring the basketball, driving to the rim, getting those easy shots, then that's how the other players on the Hawks get open, and that's how they make their shots. Guys like Danilo Gallinari, Bojan Bogdanovich, even John Collins, Clint Capella, they fuel off their leader, Trae Young. If Trae Young doesn't get going, the Atlanta Hawks are going to have a lot of issues going into this game and maybe even the rest of the series. I still think the Atlanta Hawks are going to win the series in 6 or 7. So I do believe tonight is a crucial game for the Atlanta Hawks if they want to get that goal done. If they don't win tonight, then Philadelphia is probably going to be one of those locks for the series. And it's just going to either prove that Atlanta is too young, that they're too inexperienced considering this is their first playoffs together to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, or it's going to prove that they're almost ready to contend for an NBA title in the Eastern Conference. Because if they can get out of the series, I don't think they're going to beat the Brooklyn Nets, but they're for sure going to be on the map going forward for the East as one of the Eastern Conference title contenders.
My thing on that really quick, sorry, Blake, for interrupting.
No, you're good.
Is I completely agree with you, Montana, right? I completely agree with you, but here's my problem, right? Ben Simmons scored, 15 game 1? We've seen Ben Simmons hit that 15 mark, right? Their production, the reasoning why they won that game too, was because of the surprising factor of Mr. Shake Milton and obviously the slow performance of Trae Young. If Trae Young comes out hot, like you mentioned, and they don't get that production from that supporting cast, because even if they get those like 25 plus, 20 plus from from Seth Curry, 15 from Ben, and still like 35, 40 from Joel, we've seen that happening of an L. It depends on how Atlanta comes out. You know, if they come out aggressive, if they come out hot, if they come out slow, and by come out, I mean literally Trae Young, then the 76ers win this game. It doesn't matter if Ben Simmons has 15. It comes down to down the stretch, those role players like Shake, those role players like Korkmaz or Tyrese Maxey or Matisse Thybulle, whoever wants to come in and hit those big shots, if it's a close game, that's what it's going to come down to for them, I think, in my opinion.
No, I think you both hit it right. I mean, you guys said it perfectly. Trae Young, even when he's not scoring, he is the entire offense. He needs to be fast-paced the entire game, up and down the court. I think for the Hawks to get him going early, I want to see a lot of off-the-ball screens. Get Trae Young moving, get him open, get different players trying to guard him, because him and Steph Curry are those type of players that they just don't stop moving, and that's why they're so hard to guard. Not even when they have the ball in their hands. I mean, those two, when they have the ball in their hands, you know what they can do. They can shoot from 40 feet out. They can cross you up. But even when they don't have the ball in their hands, they're so hard to guard because they are constantly moving. And that's what Trae Young needs to do for the Hawks to beat the 76ers in Game 3 tonight.
All right, so if we got nothing else on this game, we can now move on to the final game of Friday night. The Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are up 2-0. So the question is, now that they're in Denver, are the Phoenix Suns going to be affected by the Mile High City altitude? And do we see that Denver wins tonight's game?
Okay, yeah. I think that Denver does win the game tonight, not because it's necessarily because of the Mile High City. Yes, being at home does help, but I don't think that the Suns are necessarily going to be fatigued by playing in Denver. But I think Denver needs to win this game. I mean, it's a must-win game. You cannot go down in a series 3-0 and expect any chance to win. It's just not going to happen. And like Sebastian said earlier, the Suns and the Jazz are two of the only teams and the Nets that have consistently played well the entire playoffs. I haven't seen the Suns take a night off. I haven't seen the Jazz take a night off. Before last night, I hadn't seen the Nets take a night off. The Nuggets, though, they take too many nights off. They took game 1 off and they took game 2 off. They can't do it in game 3 or it's a 2-1 series is winnable. You could win down 2-1. It happens all the time. But when you get down 3-0, I mean, I don't think that has there ever been a team that has come back from down 3-0 in the playoffs?
No.
I don't think so. Yeah. I don't see
but...
exactly. I don't see the Denver Nuggets being any different if they get down 3-0, especially to a team as consistent as the Suns are.
No, I mean, you literally hit it on the, you know what I'm saying? But here's my thing, right? MPJ's injury. I don't know. Is it like I don't know what's going on. Did he get enough rest? Is MPJ going to be good? Because we saw that man's back was so stiff. That man came out shooting like hot dog. You know what I'm saying? Like that man just needs to if he's not ready to go tonight, don't even play him. Let Will Barton come in. We saw productive minutes from Will Barton. You know what I'm saying? If Will Barton can come in and replace Michael Porter Jr., he's not going to get as many points as Michael. But I'd rather him be out there than an injured Michael Porter because we've seen Michael Porter the last couple of games just try and heat check everything. His back is hurting him, affecting the damn team at this point. You know what I mean? But are we going to see a completely different squad going into Mile High? That's a debatable thing, bro. Because like I said, Michael Porter, if he is going to play tonight, has to have huge minutes, and a huge production game from him, from Monte Morris that we still haven't seen. The man was 1 for 10 game 1, 1 for 7 game 2. The man was averaging 25, 28 in that Portland series. So for him to just absolutely disappear for them like this series is shocking to me. You know what I mean? I was praising this man. Oh, he's gonna, he got in his bag. He's proven why he wants to still be here. Maybe even run the 2. You know what I'm saying? When Mr. Jamal Murray comes back. But now this man is nowhere to be found. So are we gonna see a bigger game from him? And of course, obviously, like I mentioned, with Will Barton back, are we going to get more minutes from him? I think he only played like 11 to 12 last night or their last game. And so those 3 players right there are, I think, the most impactful or the most the people that you need to get the most points from in the sense of, productivity in order to win these ball games. MPJ needs to come out, play way better, not shoot stupid shots. Monte Morris needs to shoot the ball better. Clearly 1 for 7 is not enough for them to win. Well, Barton did what he needed to do. I think he had 7 on 3 for 4 shooting last game, whatever the case may be. So you got that production. Aaron Gordon, I mean, I guess you could make a case he needs to step up. 6 points is not enough, especially after you call your team soft. You know what I'm saying? Austin Rivers, we kind of expect him to have 7 to 10 range. So I'm not too, I'm not too big on that. And Jokic had 24, 26 last game. So he did his part to win. It's his team that didn't help him. So at the end of the day, like you mentioned with my Phoenix Suns, they're the most consistent team or one of the most consistent teams in the league. So if they continue and come out hot and keep powering through all of this, I think the Phoenix Suns could end up winning this and maybe even a sweep or 5. But if I can see a completely different team tonight in Denver from the beautiful Denver Nuggets, this could be a series. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys said, a must win tonight, especially at home. Now, if you let the Suns get this game, not only is this series over, but I don't know what the hell is going to go on with that team. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of questions tonight, but that's all I really got to it.
So as far as I do think, yes, in order for Denver to win tonight, Michael Porter Jr. is going to have to play like he's healthy, and he's going to have to drop 20-plus points. It's like Michael Malone said after Game 2, it felt like that the team quit, and that's something you cannot do in the playoffs because every game is valuable, and every game matters, because especially this one tonight. I expect that Nikola Jokic is the NBA's MVP to drop 30 points. I think another key for the Denver Nuggets if they want to win is Monte Morris. He has to score the basketball. If he does not score the basketball, Phoenix is going to win by 20 plus again. I do think the Phoenix Suns are going to win tonight's game. I don't know. I don't think Denver's healthy enough. I don't think Denver has enough enough of a will to win the basketball game in order for them to come out and win this game 3. I do think they're missing Jamal Murray at this point as a stabilizer scorer, and they just don't have enough. I just don't think Denver has enough right now. I did think that Denver was going to win the series, but I don't think if Michael Jordan, especially if Michael Porter Jr. is not healthy, there's no reason that Phoenix Suns should not win tonight's game. And I do think that they're going to win the game tonight, especially if Devin Booker goes off. And I know this is the kill shot for the Phoenix Suns, man. If this is where they prove that they're a NBA Finals contender. If they take care of business and win by 20 plus points again today, then I am going to give the Suns the credit where they deserve it, and they're going to essentially launch themselves into title contention with a win tonight.
No, yeah, I think you guys said it perfectly. I mean, the Nuggets, where's the confidence? Where's it gone? I mean, after that first series to the Blazers, all the talk with the Nuggets players were like, yeah, we're down our 2 guards. We're missing them, but we don't need them right now. We can play well without them. I'm not seeing that. Jamal Murray is that guy, like you said, Montana. He's the stabilizer. When they needed a bucket last year in the playoffs, he got you one. When they got down 3-1 in those series, he went out and played his best basketball. You know Nikola Jokic is going to go and do his thing. He hasn't played a bad series. The Nuggets have played a bad series, but it has not been Jokic's fault. Jokic's teammates have been letting him down in game 1, and they let him down in game 2. In game 3, we've got to see not only Michael Porter Jr. have a big game. Aaron Gordon needs to have a big game. He was their big trade piece they got in the middle of the season. He needs to step up. Like you said, 6 points, 0 assists, and 1 rebound in game 2. That's a joke of a stat line. You're not only the starting player, he only played 20 minutes for that reason. Imagine being a starting player and struggling so bad that you're only playing 20 minutes. It's a joke to me. And if the Nuggets don't figure it out, the Suns are going to come in there and take care of business like they have been.
So as far as that goes, I do think the Phoenix Suns are going to win tonight's game. I think, Sebastian, you said that the Phoenix Suns were going to win. Blake said that Denver is going to win. So I guess we'll have to figure out who is the winner and who's the loser of today's conversation, as both NBA games are being played tonight. So as far as that goes, I think this is going to be it for today's show of Unspoken Rules. If you guys haven't already on the audio side, drop that follow, leave a rating and review. If you're listening on YouTube, subscribe, drop a comment, leave a like. And if you guys haven't followed already on our social media, we post Twitter notifications, Instagram notifications all the time. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Wildcard Movies. Sebastian, where can they find you?
Rabbit FL everywhere.
And for me, Blake_Spillers on Instagram, Blake Spillers on Twitter.
So, everyone, this is the last show of the week, and we'll see you guys next Monday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace, guys.